See if we can catch this little spruce grouse. He's sitting on a dead cottonwood tree down here, and he's flapping his wings, making a sound, trying to call the ladies in. Sometimes he'll just stand there while I walk by. Other times he jumps off, gets scared. Let's see what we can if we can get him. There he is. He blends in really well. Sorry it's so shaky. Yeah, I'm scaring him away now. So he just kind of sits there and does that all day long. It's kind of cool, really cool. Sitting there trying to call in his lady. This will be the 3rd year that he's done that, so it's pretty cool to have the same bird come back year after year. Speaking of birds, we have 3 new additions to our household for bird wise, and come this weekend we're gonna be adding at least 9 more, and then in a few weeks we will be adding even 5 more after that. So even though I don't have my chicken coop done yet, I just need to get my birds now while I can get them. I can put them in my old chicken coop for now. I have it all fixed up and all the holes are covered in, so I can, and maybe this will spur me on to getting off the sawmill for a little while and actually building something with the lumber that I'm cutting up. I'll give you a little bit of a peek of the 3 birds that we did get. So my cabin is really small, but we were able to tuck these guys in a corner. We got a heat lamp on them. So this first batch, she only had 3 left from her last hatching, and we took those 3, and then on Thursday she said she's expecting her next hatching to start coming out. So we will be getting, I want to get at least a dozen. I would like to get 15 total, but I might just get a dozen this time, and then just keep watching Craigslist and get a few of a different variety. Okay, so here is my woodshed. We are pretty much done burning. We'll have a few fires here and there, but pretty much done burning for the year. And this was packed all the way up to the top of this board, all the way back, same height, all the way around, that same height. And this is 8 by 8, and it's right around 8 foot tall. So almost 2 quarter wood fit in here, and I still have, you add all this up, I still have a fair chunk. So I might have burnt just over a quarter wood, maybe a cord and a half of wood, or a cord and a quarter, something like that. I didn't burn that much for a full winter. But now it's time to start filling her back up, and I am going to start with the slab wood that I cut up a few weeks ago. And so this is how much that little pile of slab wood, it's mostly slab wood, it's a few rounds that I split up with the wood splitter, but I've almost got 2 complete rows into my woodshed now. I've already filled it up Almost halfway full. No problem. I've got that whole wall all the way up. And yeah, it's filling up fast. And I've hardly even touched the pile of slab wood that I have. And man, I am so glad I bought that wood splitter. I waited way too long to buy a wood splitter. If you're on the fence whether you should or should not buy a wood splitter, just get one. Oh my goodness, it makes your life so much easier. Especially when you're doing spruce that has all of this twist in it. There's no way that I would have been able to split that piece of spruce without a ton and a ton, I mean just a ton of work. Look at this, I mean, and that wood splitter cuts right through it. It just splits it like it's butter. It doesn't even bog it down, it just goes for it. And I would definitely, if you're on the fence, even if you think, oh, I don't need a wood splitter, you buy one, and I guarantee you'll be happy with that purchase. So well worth it. I have a little bit more to go. This is almost cleaned up. I'm going to get my garden area cleaned up today and figure out my greenhouse and move that. I'm going to move that raised bed because I have a new idea for this this covered area, this greenhouse. I have a new idea for the inside. I think it'll work out a lot better. Give me a lot more growing space in there. Okay, so please forgive the mess. This is the project I'm working on this afternoon. I got buckets, everything. I am getting my garden area cleaned up, just slowly but surely. Kind of do a little bit at a time, but I moved from inside the greenhouse from last year. I moved the raised bed that I had in here out to here, refortified it. I know it looks dirty and stuff, but it's just a raised bed to hold dirt to grow food. So I'm just gonna throw a little bit of scrap wood in the bottom and then sawdust just to get it out and help fill it up, because I don't need it to be 16 inches of dirt. That's a lot of dirt for me to come up with for growing in. So I am going to fill up the bottom. Probably the first 8 inches will be pretty much just sawdust, scrap wood, a little bit of dirt, but mostly just scraps for the first 6 or 8 inches. And then the top, I will take this dirt from here and move it into the top. And what I'm hoping to do is be able to split this pile of wood into 2 raised beds. At least not waste all of it filling the full bed. That is my plan, at least. Hopefully it works. It works for other people to do that, so I'm hoping it works for me. Plus, it's a good way for me to get rid of some of the sawdust that I have piling up already this year. And eventually all of this stuff will break down and turn into really good dirt. It'll take a while for stuff like the boards to break down. I'm not going to put a whole lot of that in there, but you see all this bark and all the wood chips and stuff like that. That's just fine to go in there. If I come across any branches, a bunch of leaves, I have a bunch of leaves that I need to get rid of. I'll put those in there. So that is the project I'm working on right now. I don't know how well you can see that, but the ground is still frozen, and this is about a 3 to 4 inch sheet of ice that, in order to put the bed in where I wanted it to go, I had to chip through it. But getting there. I have, so that big clump right there is all frozen, solid. I didn't want to try to break it apart. I'm just going to let it thaw out. It'll probably thaw out tomorrow and be in a clump. As soon as it thaws out, I will get my mini rototiller up in here and I will mix all of this together, and that bed will be ready to plant in as soon as I can start planting. So that's one bed down. This bed is one of the beds I had potatoes in last year, and it's still frozen. But I'm going to sprinkle some rabbit droppings on it and be ready to rototill that in as soon as this thaws out. Before I start working on the greenhouse, I want to get some rabbit droppings on that bed and get that rototilled in, and then I'm going to start working on my greenhouse. Getting closer every step. I have about 2 weeks before I can start planting anyway, so hopefully I have enough time to get everything done before I can start putting plants in the ground. So you can hear it running. I was able to get it started, and now I'm going to try to mix up my flower bed, or my raised garden, my raised beds. I'm going to try to get all of that mixed up. So you see, it does an okay job of mixing it up. It does spit a little bit out the side, but I think any rototiller would do that. Get that back inside. But yeah, it does an okay job. It's nothing fancy. It's just a little fella. But it's a lot better than doing it by hand, that's for sure, because all I'm trying to do is mix it up. Loosen up the soil a little bit, get it mixed up, and you can still see I still have ice in that flower bed, or in this raised bed. So I'm going to have to let that thaw for a few more days before I can finish doing that. And I just filled this one, so I know that there's no ice in this one. So I'm going to get this one next. That's the 3 beds that I have done now. This back corner was still frozen a little bit, so I'll have to hit it again right back in here. It's still frozen. But yeah, the little tiller does a really good job. I've had it for quite a few years now, and it works really well in the raised beds just because it's so light. Just to pick it up, throw it in, and do these little beds like this, it's no problem. And if you put it on the bare ground, it takes quite a bit more. You have to go over and over and over. But this stuff, I went over this twice, and all I did is stand at the outside. I stood, let's see if you can see where I stood on this right here, and I just run in. You can see where it ends, and pull it back and do it again all the way across. And then I came down to this end. I stood on this end of it and I ran in. And that way I'm not walking through it as I'm going and packing it back down. So yeah, that worked out really well. I have a volunteer raspberry growing in my tire. I'll just leave it. Some of another voluntary berry coming up. And some grass. That was planted in grass last year just for the fun of it. This bed was the worst of all for this ice. You can see where I stepped in it and packed it back down just because I know I'm going to have to do this one over again because it's still frozen. This is where I had the slab wood piled up, and that was blocking the sun from melting. And so that's still a big chunk of ice there. My pathway is just nothing but an ice chunk. But then here is my third bed, and this is the bed I moved from inside the greenhouse out to here and filled it up again with half. I used some of the stuff I collected, some sawdust down on the bottom, a few scrap pieces of bark and stuff down at the very bottom, and then I used half of the pile, the old dirt that was in the bed to begin with. I used half of it, and I saved the other half for the new bed that I'm going to build inside the greenhouse. So, should be fun. Just a real quick update on what I'm doing. I'm going to call this quits on my garden for tonight. I'll put that rototiller away, and I'm going to head over to the sawmill and cut up a couple of logs on the sawmill before it's dinner time. I'll have dinner and I'll come back out and hopefully cut up a couple more logs. So still busy at it, trying to get lots of stuff done. So that wood pile is getting smaller for sure, and that's all going to be gone here really soon. Figure I'll use up that whole pile to get milled up, the stuff that people want milled up, and then I have a chicken coop I still want to mill up for myself. Even though I've already gotten my chickens, I can put them in my old coop. I've fixed all the holes and stuff. I put scrap pieces of plywood on the floor so that the ermine can't get back through any of the holes. And I'm just going to put them out there long enough to get my chicken coop built. They're already getting so big. They would be almost 3 weeks old now. The lady said she hatched out. She has 13 more hatched out. And we're going to grab 9 of those. And that'll give us an even dozen. And then we're going to get 5 black Australorps, which we've had those before and we really liked that breed. So these guys are a mix. The rooster was a lavender Orpington, and the hens could be one of 3 different: a golden lace Wyandotte, or a silver lace Wyandotte, or and Americana. Those are the 3 hens that they have, but we pretty much figure that these are Wyandottes so far as we can tell. So that's the midweek update for this week. Show everybody what we were kind of up to, what we're doing, a little glimpse into our life. If you made it this far, thank you for watching all the way to here. Appreciate it. I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you're a first-time watcher or kind of new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed to my channel. It helps out the channel a lot and helps me to grow. Quit rambling now, and thank you for watching this edition of Not So Remote Alaska. And may God bless and keep each and every one of you. And until next time, I'm out.